This is Kev and Gilday and The Glasgow Cross, a pure concrete, track by track. This is track number 7, Ashes. Yeah, it feels like a hard one to talk about, this one, because it's such a big song and such a big composition, and it's such a, I don't know, it's got a really unique feel to it that I feel like once we'd got it and once we'd worked it out, it was like, God, this feels like capturing a feeling. It feels like capturing a time and a place. It feels like it feels like a postcard of a song. And yeah, I think it's one that I can't imagine people are like, oh, I'm going out for a run, or I'm going out for a walk, I'm going to stick this on. But if you're listening to the whole album, I think that it's really important. It feels like a big linchpin song of the album, actually, in terms of what we're exploring and what we're talking about, and also kind of pushing our sound in a different direction.
Yeah, it's quite a hard one now. I think putting it together was sort of easy in a way, I think, because there's a kind of really sort of lovely kind of, well, not lovely, quite a dark kind of woozy riff to it. It's just like a wee loop. So I've got this little ditto loop pedal that I use to sometimes make, just like muck about with the guitar and just try and make these really interesting loops. And most of the time you don't get lucky, it sounds rubbish, but this one kind of just had something, and I just kept looping it and then tried the chords over the top. So in terms of song structure, like once I had the loop, it was all kind of pretty easy. And then there's just like, it's just the same chords all the way through, and it's just about sort of building momentum. And I mean, it did sound like that could have been this kind of dark-ish tune, but I think once you put the lyrics to it, it just added this whole extra weight to it that I think it kind of needed it, and it totally suits it. But it's definitely one now where I just think with everything around the time of like finishing the tune off and recording it, it's definitely one where I kind of detach myself quite a lot from the lyrics, and just to be able to get through playing it.
Yeah, no, it's definitely, it feels emotional to do it in front of an audience, especially. I mean, the lyrics, the poem Ashes existed before the song, and it was something that I'd kind of written to kind of just deal with what I was feeling at a time, and to kind of put into words, and maybe commemorate something that's happening in my life at that point. And then suddenly it's like, okay, we're making this into a song, and there's this extra space to add a chorus in, and to add in a kind of big statement, which was, I felt like the minute I'd done that, and the minute we kind of got that chorus, it kind of tied everything together, and I was like, oh God, that's for me is the difference. That's where it stops becoming a poem and starts becoming a song at that point, when we have these other elements that start to tie it together. And we've done that really cool thing with the vocals as well, and the chorus. I think it's like we recorded them in like 2 different octaves. Yeah. Which I'd never done before, and was a weird experience. But also when you listen to it now, it adds something to it. It's definitely like an extra kind of, just something that throws you off a wee bit, makes you feel a wee bit uneasy, but in a good way.
Yeah, I think the whole song feels a bit like that. I think because that there's no real drums in this. It's just that little loop. It's like slightly rhythmic, but because it's kind of not on the beat, so it's got that kind of woozy feel, which is kind of nice to have something like that to play about with. it's kind of hard to play to sort of layer the track off, because sometimes some stuff sounds in time, sometimes out of time, but I think it's quite good for a mood.
But, yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
I remember kind of hearing the loop for the first time, and I feel like maybe that's that kind of association my brain made, was to go back to this poem, which was sitting, in a folder somewhere and hadn't been looked at for years. And it was the fact that loop, that wooziness that you're talking about, for me really conjured up this image of waves, and the waves kind of lapping very, very slowly. And the poem's about kind of going to Oban and scattering my mum's ashes on the beach in Oban, and the kind of memory of those waves and the memory of the sun hitting the water, like this very kind of vivid moment. Writing a poem about that's one thing, but then to hear a piece of music that conjures that in some way, and then being able to fit them together, it was like it felt like proper alchemy when we done it.
Yeah, I think especially like, because I think we recorded all the music for that, but maybe like 2-3 weeks after my mum died. And so it was, it was there was definitely a sort of alchemy to it. I know what you mean. It's like, it felt like we needed to record that then.
Yeah.
But there was definitely there was definitely quite a lot of sort of detachment to just finding like kind of that kind of distraction thing where you kind of hone in on something in the song to be able to record it and like kind of push through and kind of make something without having like just that weight of the whole thing in front of you the entire time.
Totally. Yeah, sometimes it's hard when you're someone that's making music, of when are you this emotional being that's feeling things and synthesizing emotion, and when are you a technician, an engineer who's looking at things and passively kind of taking them apart and putting them back together and rearranging things. And sometimes it's hard to balance those things, or to be in one space and then move into another one very easily. But yeah, you kind of need to be able to do both to bring out the best in your work, I think. Yeah,
well, hopefully we manage with this one. I still enjoy listening to it, but I still have to tune out.
Yeah, well, we hope that you're listening to this and not completely traumatized. This is track number 7. This is Ashes.
The remnants of a family carry the remains of a mother, so much heavier than her withered frame should allow, to a town by the sea, a transience, a port, a waiting room. The weight of you, flawless in your absence, threatened to crush us, turn us to rubble, the fine dust in a jar. Marching moribund along the promenade, annotating our sojourn with tales of visits and deeds and defeats, until we reach the perfect point Halfway between God and the sea, light turns the water to static, an interrupted signal of elegance, while anonymous hills keep vigil over orphan lochs and abandoned bungs, is what we have